What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for December 1st, 2025. IAE was in full swing this week, and it's now just wrapping up. 4.5 with engineering is in Evo, with a Wave 1 soon, maybe, and a very big surprise. And of course, CIG had to do a few shady things around their sales. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first week in review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Drops are just getting ready to end, so stop by and say hi if you haven't yet and pick up that armor. And yeah, we have so much to get into, but before we do, let me share with you today's sponsor. So yeah, I recently forgot to cancel an MMO subscription that I played literally months and months and months ago. Well, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. I'm using Rocket Money to cancel those unwanted subscriptions. It's actually really neat. You can either use the app to let you know how to cancel it yourself, or give them a little personal information, and they will cancel it on your behalf if one of them is giving you a bit of a runaround. I'm also using Rocket Money to help set budgets and make sure I'm not spending needlessly. Like recently, I spent a bunch of money on PC parts when I only really needed one. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features, with over $880 million in canceled subscriptions. So to save money and spend less, join the over 10 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/SaltEMike or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. Once again, that's rocketmoney.com/SaltEMike to get started today for free. All right, and with all the bills paid, let's get into the patch updates. All right, most of this stuff will be around IAE, and we start out on Monday with Kruger Day. Kruger Day came with a new ship sale, the L22 Alpha Wolf, because it's just more alpha, I guess. More on that in other updates where we'll kind of cover it more in depth, because they did a thing that we as the community were absolutely against vocally, but I'm sure plenty of people purchased, so they just said, you know what, we're going to do it anyway. Tuesday, it was Anvil Day, and there were no new ships on this day, but there is technically a new sale. The F8C is now for sale, where it was previously given out by either having an account worth over 10,000 or more, which was insane, or completing the ticket event that they did a while back and earning the ability to buy it, which is also crazy. And then, you know, there was also the whole thing about completing Squadron 42. So they just put this thing up for sale. Some people were upset with this exclusivity feeling, but yeah, I'm totally fine with this. It was weird, but if it wasn't going to be a Squadron 42 reward, then I think that that's totally fine. If it was just a video game playing reward, I was always okay with it. Wednesday was Greycat Day. There's a new vehicle. It is the Greycat MDC. Again, we'll cover it more in depth later in the video with video updates and other updates. Outside of that, there was nothing new from Argo or Consolidated Outland. Wednesday, we had a hotfix. This was just taking the hotfix channel and placing it on live, which was just more quantum travel crashes, as well as the Hull C automated loading was freezing, and this should help with that, but I know it doesn't help completely, but it is a lot better. Thursday, Crusader/Tumbril Day. Crusader has no new ships and no new paints from what I can see, and Tumbril really has never had anything worth buying outside of RP, and I personally love Crusader ships' looks, but yeah, practicality is another story on them. Friday was Aegis Day. Not much to report here, other than the moment ships went for sale, the entire game just stopped working. People couldn't log in, and I was in a contested zone, and the elevator just wouldn't show up. So no new paints, no new ships outside of the classic F5 wars over the Idris and Javelins. More on that in a little bit. Friday, 4.5 Evo, actually, right now. I was working on the SCL breakdown on Friday when it dropped, so I jumped in for about 3 or 4 hours after it released. And yeah, myself and apparently everyone that was on the servers were experiencing client crashes every like minute or so. That's what it was for me personally. So I never made it to a ship to experience it. But on Saturday, they did a hotfix that did resolve the instability. But yeah, I have, as of the recording of this video, I have not had enough time in game yet. I just did a few bounties on a Corsair. The components are taking way less damage initially. So it's like on a curve where it takes less damage, like very little, and then all of a sudden everything just goes. It's very similar to the experiences that we were having before, but now with armor, apparently. Yeah, the weird thing about armor is I can't see it on any panel anywhere. I have no idea if it's a component, how much I have, or anything. So it's not being communicated well at all right now. I think the main issue here that is still existing with engineering is that if a certain part of your hull goes to 0, you're just going to explode anyway. And this is just not how they communicated engineering to us. So I just feel indifferent about engineering right now, because repairing components feels more like a post-fight experience, but during a fight, you can't repair the hull, so there's not much you can do to survive a fight better than someone else. It's still just the same DPS race to exploding like we had before. This is expected to go to Wave 1, but I think we are so far from this being ready. I think we should have tech previewed many more times and had this released at the beginning of the year. But I think that we're just going to have a trial by fire. That's literally what the entire year was. And yeah, that was pun intended. But they removed fire from this patch. So that's a thing to mention as well, because of stability issues. And then lastly, the Idris P is in Wicklow. No recipe yet, but yeah, that was not on my bingo card, and it was not on a lot of people's bingo cards. Check out the TV channel for the community reactions to that. That was pretty funny. Saturday is also Best in Show Day, and yeah, they've been doing this for years. If you own the ships that were in the top 4, I think before December 2nd, which are the Gladiator, Zeus EX, the Asgard, and the Polaris, the paints will be delivered to you, as well as other rewards based around those ships. The paints on the website look really like coppery or orange, but apparently in game, I wish I could show you, but my Polaris paint never showed up along with the other rewards, so I'm still waiting on those. And yeah, I grabbed a quick clip from Captain Foxy Loxy's review of all the paints, so you can kind of get an idea that they're this like pearlescent orange that changes color. Really cool. Yeah, link to his videos are linked down below. Go check him out. He does a lot of really cool testing videos like this. He's a great part of the community. You also get posters for each ship and a pendant for the winning ship. The Polaris, if you own it, you get that pendant, right? That was the winning ship. And lastly, of course, CIG had to do something that made people mad. They're reselling the previous paints from previous years. Now, personally, I do not care. Sell cosmetics like crazy, none of it matters. But they convinced players in previous years to buy Best in Show packs, buy specific ships, and that, you know, the FOMO tactic, like this is it, you're never going to have an opportunity to get this again. And then, would you blame somebody for feeling like tricked or duped? I wouldn't. I think if they feel entitled that I'm supposed to have this exclusive thing, that's a different story. But if you feel tricked and duped by the community or by the company and their monetization practices, I kind of understand why. But yeah, so when you hear me give them a hard time about the way they sell this game, this is why. If this makes you mad, understand that the feelings that people are having about these paints happen in all sorts of other situations, right? This behavior will continue as long as you let them continue it. So keep that in mind. All right, we have a lot to go with video updates. There was a huge SCL, so let's jump into that. All right, we'll start out with the behind the ships for the L22 Alpha Wolf. There was not a whole lot to take out from this, as they were incredibly focused on the fin and not really addressing the obvious elephant in the room, which we'll touch on in other updates. The ship does look awesome, though. I really like the look of it. Talking Shop. We finally got some useful information in Talking Shop, even though we also have a clip for SCL in that. That's coming up in just a minute, so I figured I had to include it here.
The Valen is coming up next year, and its cargo has been jacked up to 640 SCU.
I still remember when we used to use freight units.
So yeah, that's great. An increase in cargo is not going to upset anyone, I don't think, but there is more to the story. Stick around for the SCL breakdown. Behind the ships for the MDC is next. First thing they address is why they put a PDT on this thing in the first place.
So the reason we decided to put a PDT on a ground vehicle was because when you have events like Jumptown, and people are there loading their ships and getting other bits and pieces, you're very vulnerable to attack, giving them a different means to actually defend themselves, or if they're on their own.
Jumptown keeps getting mentioned, but they haven't run Jumptown because they know they can't. You can't have that many people in one area right now. Having that many people in one location just would ruin the game, right? So the point is very valid, but again, where Jumptown, guys? They really wanted to make sure that we know this, though.
The PDT on the MDC is swappable. So that means you can have the missile variant, the Gatling variant, and the laser variant. The missile and the laser variant is now available in 4.4 within in-game stores.
So unlike the Wolf, the older weapons are available in the game stores right away. No need to wait. That's interesting. But also, I'm just bringing this up because it feels like this year is very much like A/B testing for the marketing team to see what they can get away with and extract as much from us as possible. And it looks like it's working. A lot of people were defending all this stuff, and yeah, I think it will not help your game be fun in the long term. The next variant of the vehicle is quickly mentioned next as well.
This is the second vehicle in the family that we're showing, and I think you can see that commonality between the two existing ones, and it just adds that extra utility, which I think is very useful.
And we're off to the MFC next year for crafting.
Obviously, we don't have crafting yet, but I don't see the point of this. I think it's that, like, unless you make this thing craft something exclusive, why would I ever use a vehicle, period, in Star Citizen, let alone to craft? Please, CIG, don't create a problem to sell a solution, but they're going to. I just feel it, right? And then Star Citizen Live, all about ships. The first thing we are jumping in is why they chose, or why they choose between a full rework and like a Mark II for ships.
Sometimes we do a gold standard. Sometimes we shoot for a rework. And sometimes we do a Mark II, as we did with the Hornet. So talk to me about how the choice between a rework and a Mark II comes about.
So with the reworks versus Mark II, it depends on what we're trying to achieve and whether what already exists actually achieves that. So using the 600i as a prime example, just as a talking point for one. When we made the original 600i, we had a particular vision for how we wanted the interior to be used and laid out, and then as the game evolved, we realized that the interior just doesn't work for what we actually want the ship to be able to do, what we want to achieve, what we want the experience to be while using it. And realistically, if that ship was left in the state that it was, it wouldn't actually fit its role or purpose within the game. So what we want to do is rework something like that. It needs to be taken back and then re-reviewed, and obviously everyone's seen the rework images, the concept board. There's an entire thread on Spectrum where people are keeping track of everything for it that we've ever said and covered. That's the rework. The gold standard can sometimes be just bringing something up to scratch, so that's adding, say, the suit locker's missing, or the weapon rack doesn't work, or other features that help the gameplay experience but don't require us to fundamentally change something about the ship. And then the Mark IIs exist where the Mark I, the original, still works for the role, but we want to make it bigger and better, but we don't want to get rid of what the original role was being fulfilled. So if we talk about the Aurora?
It's very funny that they never mentioned that new ships can make them more money, although, to be fair, John Crew has mentioned it on a previous SCL. But yeah, I think the rework explanation makes perfect sense, but I absolutely hate the Mark II stuff more because of the collector's item idea instead of giving the older ship some unique use case. Like, I want the older ship to still be valid and still be useful for a reason, just some random bonus to something, right? And not just shun it away like, hey, thanks for the money, but yeah, no. And yeah, then he talks about the Aurora now.
You already said it and they already saw my reaction. An Aurora Mark II is coming.
Yeah, the Aurora Mark II is a thing. I'm not going to go into details about it, but it allows us to take the DNA of what a Mark I is and then expand upon it, make it something different, make it its next generation of itself.
Yeah. If you look at it compared to the Hornets,
just looked at the chat.
The Hornet Mark II and the Mark I side by side, you can tell they are both Anvil Hornets, even though they are stylistically very different. They're the same role, they're the same rough shape, and that's what we want to do with the Mark I Auroras and the Mark II. That you look at it and go, that's an Aurora. It does the same roles. but it's new RSI style.
So, why make an Aurora Mark II? That's from the chat.
Primarily, a big visual upgrade compared to the Mark 1s, but there are so many Mark 1s out in people's accounts. Like, it's one of the most iconic Star Citizen ships. We don't want to just suddenly one day, poof, they all disappear, and you've all got this new other ship that you perhaps didn't want 10 years ago. So it's the same with the Mark 1 Hornets. We didn't get rid of them and replace everybody's with Mark 2s. We want them collectors. Both can coexist, and yeah, like I say, as collector's editions for I was here back when the Mark 1 was a thing.
So no matter how they want to do it, for the Aurora to be the same on the same playing field as the newer starter ships like the Cutter or the 100i, it needs to get a lot bigger, carry more cargo, or just generally be more like those ships. Starter ships have evolved to be so much more than the Aurora, and it just can't keep up. So I'm being honest, based on the last description, it needs a full rework, but why aren't they doing that? That also makes sense. I love the first pledge. I never want to melt mine. And if the ship sales didn't exist, you would never do it this way. So this is what I'm talking about their monetization and about how they're not doing game development in the best way possible, right? It's because they're funding the game, and that gets in the way of them doing the best thing for the game overall, and it just isn't. All right, I alluded to this earlier, so here we go.
Raylan, 320 to 640. People have seen the hologram in the halls and seen a lot of comments about the triangles missing.
Yeah, we are currently working out exactly what we're going to do with the cargo on it in terms of, I want to keep the aesthetics there. I want to keep it as close as we can to the original concept, but I also want to make sure that it works, and you know, like I say, we don't want to end up with these weird shaped kind of cargo containers. So we're trying a few different things, haven't nailed it down in concept yet. It's kind of in the next couple of weeks we'll start looking at it, but it will support kind of just standard cargo metrics. We will keep the kind of like the visuals of these triangles. They may be like a frame that kind of clasps around it and holds it and kind of moves out the way. There may be little end caps. Not sure exactly, but it was just a case of we haven't fully resolved that yet.
All right, the cargo went up, but the cargo will not be triangular. And the reasoning, I think, is totally fine. The triangles will be there. It will look like what the concept that you purchased is, but we will be using the same types of cargo. I'm so happy they did this. Don't break the cargo experience more than it already is, right? Next up, the full Hull series ships are getting their cargo updated, and not all of it is going up.
But I want to talk about the Hull B first, in that we've been working on that, and that was 384 SEU at concept. It's now going to be 512, and it can still land with the cargo fully on, planet side, and you can get in and out of it is an important thing. There was a lot of finagling to get that to fit.
We don't have images, and I want to be clear, we don't have images because Ben gave them to me and I forgot to load them up. So you can blame me. But essentially, it went from this to like this in order to...
Yeah, it should be a concept art, Jared.
Hull D and E owners, sit down. Your cargo capacity is going quite a long way down. So the D, and I've got my notes here, is going down to 6,912 SEU, which is a lot of SEU. And the E is going down to 12,288 SEU. So, gut reaction, that's a big drop from, I think, 98,000, and I can't remember what the D was. Yeah. But for years, people quite rightly said, this is going to be so boring. I don't want to sit and load 3,000 plus 32 SEU containers by hand, or even in an org. Yeah. Economy-wise, huge concerns. And then performance-wise, also huge concerns. So whilst they have on paper gone down by a big percentage, they are still
the top of the game.
Absolute top. And we have no plans currently to have any ships that get anywhere near those. Like, I can't think of one that actually beats the Hull C at this point in terms of cargo capacity. So the D&E is still the cream of the crop. Their role remains unchanged as the bulk and super carriers. They're just, their SEU comes down to more reasonable levels.
I can't describe how happy I was to hear this, because it basically means that we could see these ships before 1.0. But at their previous cargo metrics, these ships would never be released, and if they did, the game just would be super broken, just like they said. Next is another popular ships cargo. And yeah, this one's going up.
Ironclad cargo capacity, both of them going up. So the base Ironclad was 1,536.
1536.
1536. That's going up to 2,204, and the Assault's going from 1,152 to 1,440.
I see why you got notes now.
Yeah, this is why I have it written down. Again, they may change slightly as we get close to release, but it's that proportional change. Why did that happen?
We were looking at it, there was some gaps in the cargo grid, and it's kind of like, if they're justifiable, it's fine. But when there's just a gap, it's just people are just going to shove more cargo in it anyway.
Yeah,
So.
right. Well, it was just because the ladders moved. Yeah. Originally, there was paths so you could get to the ladders to the catwalks, but because we moved them out to the side, it just didn't make sense for it anymore.
Wow, over 2,000 cargo for this ship. The hull seat is 4,000, so half of that is pretty impressive. As the gaps that they mentioned was again because they move stuff around and it looks weird, so boom, more cargo. We like that. And then they addressed some of the silhouette ships that we haven't seen yet, and I'm surprised what some of them are.
Everyone thinks it was the MTC silhouette, but it was actually the MFC, which Ben announced in the MDC video yesterday. Yeah. So that's the crafting version. The big Anvil Atlas chassis one is the Auxilia.
Yep.
Which is, if you like the Clipper, it's basically that in an Atlas ground vehicle chassis. So it has a crafting machine, same dimensions as the one in the Clipper, and a tier 2 medbed in it, in a big hulking great.
It looks really cool as well.
And then the last one, a lot of people correctly guessed was a Glest. Guest was a Consolidated Outlands ship, and that is, I think, currently called the Forge. I don't know whether we're going to keep that name or not. And you can guess from the name what it does. It's another crafting ship. It's basically a small to medium-sized solo ship with a whacking great crafting machine, bigger than the ones people have seen in the Clipper and other ships. And it also has an onboard refinery, so you can refine goods to make your things you are crafting or fabricating. And then 11th hour request for it as well was, much like the Pioneer, it's super big brother. It also has ground extractors in it, so you can land on a planet and extract the resources to refine to use for your crafting.
The Forge is the one that I thought was just the Pioneer. So again, I hate the idea that they will be selling things before we have those features really fully complete. So no player feedback on the feature or anything. And I think these early ships like the Forge will likely suffer from them being first, but it does sound cool, just to be fair. But yeah, it's going to suffer in the long term. A few years from now, there's going to be way better ships than this. Then Jared tried to justify the increased microtransactions in the shops.
Only one question here about the Wolf. Will the kits for the Wolf be available in-game for AUEC? Yes, eventually. The Wolf weapon kits are no different than the, let's see, how many have we done? So we introduced the first weapon kit with the Aegis K. The Aegis K was a weapon kit, and then we introduced that back in 2019 and whatnot. And yeah, it didn't come online until May of this year, but it came online there. The Heartseeker turret for the Hornet in February is another weapon kit. That is currently not in game. I just had a conversation with Andre and the economy guys. That's going in game in 4.5. It's just one of those things that we didn't see it. The Nova tank Gatling gun and the Scorpius missile turrets. Those were sold exclusively on the store for a period of time to fund the project, and then those are in game now. These are absolutely no different. It's no different than all those things that we've literally been doing since 2019 with the Aegis K.
Ah, yes, eventually, classic. And then he goes on to rant and say all the times they did the things that are not good at all for the game, and this is not because of the exclusivity period. To me, this is an issue because a purchased item on the store is treated completely differently in the game than an item purchased that is earned in the game. This is not good for the game, period. This creates a separation between the player base of payers and players when it doesn't need to be that way, right? You gain the advantage of owning ships by having them on launch. That's it. That was your advantage. This to me includes ships and everything. So we've been doing this forever, and it's not justification for the funding model and having a potentially major effect on the video game. Again, reminder, this is a video game developer, and everything is based around the store or them developing a different video game that we're not talking about right now. And the last one was kind of a wild one.
Just the manufacturers of the releasing ships in 2026.
Drake.
Yep.
Aegis.
RSI.
Aegis, yep. Did you say RSI?
Yep.
RSI.
Anvil.
Yes.
Misk.
Yes. A Misk ship.
Oh, Kruger.
Kruger
Yep.
is getting another ship.
What else we got?
Grays.
Grays is getting another ship.
Origin.
Origin is back! Origin is back with another ship next year.
Gatak.
Gatak has another ship next year.
Oh,
Your favorite color?
Oh, Argo.
No, he means Greycat. And Greycat.
and Greycat.
Greycat's getting a vehicle next year.
So feel free to guess what you think some of those are in the comment section, and let's talk about, some of the stuff that I didn't clip out. A couple of things I didn't include here is a Kruger ship called the Stingray is coming, and the Galaxy will be the big ship sold at IAE. Now, quick hits. The new Aurora, the Mark 1, will have the old paints promised years ago for it, like the, I don't know, there's like pirate ones or something. There's a weird one as well. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, those are all apparently going to work. They mentioned that the Salvation has bespoke scrapers, not the mount. It simply does not, and I have to change. I've changed mine to a braid, so they clearly don't know, and I hope they don't notice, so shh, because then that ship just won't be as enjoyable as it is. Clipper sucks, and at the thing that you think it sucks at, because they don't want it to be good at things. They just want it to be able to do many things. Fine, no big deal there. The wolf paints were broken and they were quickly fixed. So if you saw like posts about that, those are fixed already. There will be more generous ships in 2026. Jared is basically doing marketing things, which is one of the reasons why we don't have many videos. And yeah, he was the one that messed up the Reclaimer sale page, right? So those are the kind of things that he's doing instead of videos. They will apply the same thing with the low light scopes, but on our canopy glass to make seeing at night easier. But they said this was in the very early stages, so don't expect this anytime soon. Ship naming is not a priority, but they have a lot of things that they want to do to fix it. Part of the new mission system is to help with group payouts. I just say less money payouts and more valuable item payouts, and then they'll be fine. But let's assume that maybe that's what they're doing. Those are easy to split based on group size, plus instancing should help as well. Whew, that was video updates. Let's jump into the other updates because we still have a lot to go there as well. All right, we start out with the sneak peek as always, and this might be like the Municipal Works in Levski or possibly some part of Rockbreaker, but this is obviously some location that they want to tease that they'll be doing some mission or event or sandbox activity at, but there isn't much. I can see that gives too much away, except for the fact that the NPCs get to use better equipment than any of us get to use to mine. All right, let's get into the L22 Alpha Wolf sale. It's pretty simple. It's $105 with new money and $120 with store credits. The paints are backwards swappable from the L21, and this ship is more maneuverable and slightly slower than the L21, and just looks a little different. I would have loved to see this sold as a separate body kit, not a separate ship personally. And then the Q&A. So the first one is the big deal. Yes, they are selling these kits for real money right now, but if you soft death one of these or find one abandoned, you could take the weapons off an L21 or an L22 with a tractor beam. So they are technically available in game for now, but not in shops or anything like that. So we were very clear as a community that these type of sales hurt the game. It wasn't just the blades. There were many posts asking for the weapon kits, if they would be available for sale at Invictus, and barely any response. Now we know why. We saw what Jared said in SCL, right? And second is that them just letting us know that this type of sale isn't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, they are a part of the ship brand as a whole. So that's a yikes. And then the Greycat MDC sale. We've already shared most of the sale during the video updates, and the main things to point out are the ship skins. Maybe some of the camo ones might matter. And it's $45 with new money, $50 with store credit. This was basically an LTI token, but it might actually be useful one day, although PDCs don't work very well right now. So the Q&A for the MDC is next. First question asks, why make this? And I have to call this out. They said this is for players, more alluding to groups looking to defend locations, which I think is absolutely true, because groups should have ships that can put vehicles in them. and they could be effective, but when they mention solo players, that's where I have to stop them. I don't know a solo ship, actually made with one seat, not multi-crew ships that are currently used as solo ships, that can carry a vehicle like this. Again, this would have been so much more useful to most players who actually are solo players if it was a deployable from our backpack, but they can't sell that for $50, so they put it on a vehicle, right? The rest is already answered in Behind the Ships, which, yeah, we already broke down, and that's linked down below. The CLX giveaway. CIG sponsored a giveaway that's going on until December 30th for one of these CLX gaming PCs, so hit the link in the description if you're interested in that. They're keeping the red PC in the office on display for some reason. Like, what a waste of computer parts, and giving the blue one away. And that was this week. Wow. Huge week. Thank you so much for watching. On the engineering side of things, not much there that I can share with you. If it does go live on Sunday, I do record this at about 5 in the morning on Sundays, so it might go live today, and we will address that next week, as well as on the TV channel and on my live streams and stuff like that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button for more weeks in review, and comment on anything we talked about down below. Lots of things I liked, lots of things I didn't. Would love to hear you sound off. Thank you so much again, and we will catch you guys next week.